Hello, Vidargavia here, and welcome to this Minecraft 1.13 Squid farm tutorial, which will give you plenty of ink for your inking needs. This farm is quite easy to build. You need to find yourself a desert or another place where there is no water around, or very little water around. And then you need to dig yourself a hole down to Y46. And the farm is going to be from Y46 to Y62. Because that's the effective area in which squid can spawn. And when you're done, you'll have a hole. Maybe it won't have glass like this, but it'll have walls. You'll have a hole much like this with some sort of material on the bottom here. Make sure you can place kelp on all of these blocks, because you're going to need that later. For this farm, you need a bunch of blocks, a bunch of kelp, 36 soul sand. If you don't have anything that kelp can grow on, you need 36 sand or other blocks like that. 36 oak fence gates, a bunch of powered rails, a couple of rails, not maybe 64. Minecraft with the hopper, a redstone comparator, and a chest. So the dimensions of this farm is 6 by 6. The outer dimensions is 8 by 8. You can build it any size you want, really. I've found that this gives you enough for a single player world's use of ink. You also need a bunch of water for this farm, but maybe not as much as you think. The first step here is to go to the bottom and cover the entire bottom with water like this. Now the next step is to go to the top and fill all the water in like this as well. Of course, in survival it's a little bit trickier than this, but I will show you what to do with the center, and you can actually do this all around if you're in survival. So the center hole here we need to get rid of. The way to do that is to take a block of any kind and place it as a layer underneath the water layer that you're just placing. And the source blocks will form in the middle as well here. And yeah, in survival you can just fill this in before you start filling up the top layer here. And just fill this up with water and then remove these blocks. At the moment we have water that is pushing us downwards here, and we need to sort that out. We need to have source blocks all the way up. And the easiest way I think I've found to do this is to place kelp on all of these blocks. This was suggested to me by a viewer when I built this farm in my 1.13 survival world. And so you place kelp like this, and then you can actually, if you have time, just let it grow. But wherever the kelp grows, that will place source blocks. So if you have a lot of kelp, you can just go ahead and do things like this, all the way to the top, and then go on to the next row and so on and so forth. Once you have your kelp in place, you can remove it again. This kind of feels a bit unnecessary, but now you should have water source blocks all the way around this farm, all the way inside of this farm. Now the next step here is to actually remove sand, gravel, and dirt as well. So take away these blocks and replace them with soul sand. Now this is going to create bubble columns, which at least initially here will cause maybe a little bit of lag for you. I know it does for me sometimes. It usually stabilizes after a little while. So in the end, guys, you need to have bubbles all the way around the top here. That is an indication that you actually have managed to get bubbles all the way up here. And that is in turn an indication that you have pure source blocks in the farm itself. Our next step here is to place fence gates all around the farm, facing away from the farm. And thankfully nowadays you can place them in mid-air. So I think the easiest way to do this is to just fill up a layer here with any block that you will remove later. Then place your fence gates on the sand or the material of your choice. Once you're done with placing the fence gates, you can remove the sand. Then you need to open all the fence gates. Okay guys, grab your water and place source blocks all the way along the edges here. And as you notice, they won't flow out through the fence gates, which is a nice thing. So this is actually the farm complete in a way. Squids will spawn down here. They will be pushed up by the bubbles, and because there are no bubbles on the outer layer, they will slowly sort of meander towards the edges, and then they'll fall through the fence gates and fall to their demise. Now, in this case, the demise is the void, but of course you want to have some sort of block underneath here, and I would give yourself 3 blocks. So this is where the squids are going to fall and eventually suffocate to death outside of the water. So you have a solution like that. Now you also need actually a layer underneath, because you need to pick up the drops somehow, and this is where we're going to have the rail. So of course dig down. When you're doing this in survival, you dig down 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks from the fence gates to make and place your rails on there. You can place as many or as few of these powered rails as you want, but just make sure that the minecart with the hopper won't stop, because it's losing velocity. Okay, once you have your rail in place, you just power it with some levers or something like that, and you can now place in your minecart with hopper, although you might have to push it around a little bit to get it going. As you can see, the squids are acting a little bit weird when they get out of the farm. I mean, it looks quite funny. It's just a visual glitch though. They are actually on the top of the farm when they look like they're flying out of it. But it's highly amusing to watch anyway, so that's another bonus of this farm. And finally guys, I thought I would show you what the farm looks like in my survival world. So this is built in survival. We're in a plains biome. But if you look around, there's not too much water going around other than this ocean over there, and I don't think that affects it. And yeah, as you can see, squid are falling out of the farm slowly but surely, and we're getting quite a lot of ink from this actually, even though the location might not be optimal. We have enough for a single player survival world, basically, is what I'm saying. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, leave me a comment and let me know how useful this is for you. And I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!